Hello, I'm very low. Hello, everybody. My voice is not quite back, but it is at least somewhat usable. This is actually the first day my voice has been back at all, so I'm really lucky because I couldn't have done this today if my voice was still gone. So lots of very exciting things. Q is back. We have a Project Veritas expose that was really exciting. I am going to get to those. Hi. Oh, I guess I should open up my chat here so that I can see. Hi. So we will jump right in as always. Hi, Lucy. Our links are down below. And once again, I had to put them through that tiny URL thing because they wouldn't all fit. So James, Birdie, Michael, Lucy, Joe, hi, Melissa. Hi, guys. Hi. So first thing I have for you. Couple goofy things, then like I said, we get into the juicier stuff towards the end. I'm expecting a couple trolls today. I got into, I made a couple people some angry this week, just assuming they're gonna come on here and troll me. So we shall see. I should probably, actually, you know what, hang on one second. Friends, I just made a couple more admins. So, all right, friends. So this first thing, U.S. research into anti-gravity goes back 70 years, report says. So I think this was a Fox News report. I saw this a couple different places. I don't remember which link I have for you guys below. But important to remember here that with this kind of stuff, it's like these soft disclosures that we're getting. It's like the life on Mars where they said, oh, you know, there could be water, or there could be life, like microbes. It's like, come on, guys. They know way more beyond that, but I don't know if this is just a version of them slowly trying to wake people up, if they think people would panic if they dropped it all on us at once. I don't know if this is like one of the like an operation by the bad guys to just continue to withhold the information and give us just a little bit so that just to appease us and to shut us up. I don't know what this is. But basically, this article says that the U.S. government has been looking into anti-gravity research for nearly 70 years, according to a new report. Automotive review website The Drive outlines a long history dating back to the 1950s of U.S. government anti-gravity research, citing, quote, series of bizarre patents assigned to U.S. Navy that seem to defy our current understandings of physics and aerospace propulsion. The Drive highlighted one example stemming from an earlier report described as, quote, the Navy's most bizarre patent, the straight out of science fiction sounding hybrid aerospace / underwater craft. That doesn't sound so crazy to some of us that have looked into these things. I thought this was interesting. This was their last paragraph in here. Public interest in real UFO incidents, which show objects exhibiting what appears to be advanced propulsion, was piqued this summer with the acknowledgement by the U.S. Navy that UFO videos released by former Blink-182 singer Tom DeLonge and published by the New York Times are real unidentified objects. Gee, guys, thanks for that. Thanks for that hard-hitting journalism right there. So you guys get what I'm saying. This next thing is probably going to be very meta because it'll probably do the very thing that I'm going to describe. YouTube quietly hides its code after content throttling system it's leaked. So this next link says, YouTube has quietly changed its code after several internal metrics, including a video throttling label, were leaked via this code base. The three metrics, which were visible in the code before YouTube made the change, appeared to show scores and labels that determine whether a video would be throttled on the platform. The leak's metrics surfaced around October 8th and were visible in the code until October 29th, when YouTube quietly changed the code and scrub these metrics. Before YouTube removed the metrics from the code, I guess there were a couple big YouTubers that went through, they managed to do a deep dive on the code and analyze how they affected over 200 channels. So not only do their findings suggest that YouTube is using very serious proprietary internal metrics to suppress YouTubers, but they also show that corporate brands, Hollywood stars, and YouTube's so-called authoritative sources are given preferential ratings. We knew that one too, but it's just very interesting to get articles and proof based on this stuff. It's very unfortunate what happens, and that these social media sites that we honestly can't even really get around because they hold a complete monopoly. If you want to reach people, that's where all the people are. If you want to not surround yourself within a bubble, you have to use these, and it's a shame that they are not honest about what they're doing. But we're going to get more into that in just a little bit. We have Beto O'Rourke drops out of the presidential race. I'm going to miss all of the memes of him, though I do think that they'll stick around somewhat. Former Representative Beto O'Rourke of Texas announced on Friday that he was dropping out of the presidential race, so he is still unemployed. His campaign has been under extreme financial strain, so that's what I was hearing. And I also linked below something that I think is related to this, something that I think that we should bring back up and remind people of, is that November 2018, Project Veritas put out those videos. I don't know if any of you guys remember it, from his campaign, from people in his campaign that were basically admitting to illegally aiding the migrant caravan with campaign funds. So I put a link to that below too. Maybe that's why he's having financial troubles. So, hi. So Jack decided to pull political ads. He had a series of tweets that I linked below. There's a whole thread of them, starting with, "We made the decision to stop all political advertising on Twitter globally. We believe political message reach should be earned, not bought. Why? A few reasons, And he basically goes into, you know, why it's unfair, like forcing, you know, paying for a reach that removes the decision for people to find this stuff on their own, or coming across what they want to find organically, or whatever. Forcing highly optimized and targeted political messages on people. We believe this decision should not be compromised by money." Well, it's kind of interesting because we do know that they are also throttling particular voices, ones that don't agree with their point of view, and talk to anybody and that's been through it. It's so clear. It's so clear what they're doing. So in one way, you're like, okay, sure. So you're not going to allow both or anybody to advertise on your platform. Okay, great. Well, two things here. One is, who's got all the money right now in their campaign? Who's your daddy? Trump, right? He's got so much money to blow on his campaign, and they know it, and they know that he'd be able to put a lot of money into advertisement. The others, not so much, and they're literally dropping out of the race because they can't pull in the amount of money, pull in any money. And so it would be all well and good if Twitter was a neutral platform where things were organically being passed around, but when you throttle one of the sides and then you say, well, no, we're not going to allow people to advertise. I don't know. There's just more to it than that. And we'll see how that goes. An MSNBC reporter quits, admitting that the network is, quote, CIA propaganda. This article was really, really good. It had a lot of stuff in it. This is basically about an MSNBC reporter named William Arkin. He was a long-time and well-known military reporter. He resigned from his job while admitting the network had become infiltrated by, quote, deep state operatives. And according to the respected military reporter, MSNBC is now the, quote, propaganda arm of the CIA and FBI, and routinely peddles disinformation to the masses. Basically this, thank you, I just saw something come across here. Michael, thank you so much. What's the deal with Project Veritas Epstein drop that was supposed to hit this morning? I'm going to go into that in just a few minutes. That's one of the last things I'm going to hit. Thank you so much. And thanks for asking. We're definitely going to go into that a lot. So anyway, this article shows this email that William Arkin sent out to multiple outlets, and you can read that email in there. It says, Arkin joined many others to blow the whistle on how this works and how mainstream media has become ground zero for these political pathologies of militarism and servitude to security state agencies. According to William Arkin, the spooks in the mainstream media are in a stronger position than ever before. They go into a few other kind of whistleblowers when it comes to this. Some people that I've covered before, one in particular, Udo Ulfkott, who I covered in my media video. He was a top German journalist and an editor, and he came forward and went on the record stating that he was forced to publish works of intelligence agents under his own name, and also mentioning that non-compliance would result in him losing his job. They reference a TED Talk that, this is a really great TED Talk if you haven't seen it, by Cheryl Atkinson. And I don't have the link below, but if you go to the MSNBC Reporter Quits link, it is in the article itself, her TED Talk. That's basically about AstroTurf, or what she was calling fake grassroots movements that are funded by political, corporate, and other special interests, that they basically effectively make their way into our media. So think of it as like, okay, you're watching the news, and General Mills has bought a spot on the news saying, where it's all about how Cheerios are going to make you live until you're 100. Only doesn't say anything about how it's a paid spot. It just looks, smells, tastes, and acts exactly like regular news. And also, that's one way, and then other ways are by like creating, you know, these movements, protests, and things like that, that you get people there to report it, and it creates something out of nothing. Anyway, that's a very interesting thing, a very interesting part of the entire media thing that we should all understand. Also, another book that isn't in this is that Trust Me, I'm Lying is a really great book about the media, about all of that, about how they can create something out of nothing and pass it around and basically use each other for references. Well, they said that, so I'm going to quote you in this, and then suddenly it becomes news when it really was just them making it up. And then another person that's in the article, Amber Lyon, she's a 3-time Emmy award-winning journalist at CNN. She's gone on the record stating that the mainstream media outlets are routinely paid by the U.S. government, as well as foreign governments, to selectively report and distort information on certain events. She has also stated that the United States government has editorial control over mainstream media content. That is so crazy. And again, in my media video, if you guys haven't seen it, we went over how Obama repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, which had been in place in our country to protect us from our country being able to use propaganda on us within the United States, and he repealed that. And so it is now legal for them to use propaganda on us in the United States. Sorry, you guys. This next thing, Brazil police arrest man said to be one of the world's most prolific human traffickers. So this article comes from Sao Paulo. Brazilian federal police say they have arrested Sefala Al-Mamoun, born in Bangladesh, and considered by authorities one of the world's most prolific human traffickers. In an operation conducted on Thursday after collaboration with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Brazilian police arrested members of a group allegedly implicit in a large scheme of smuggling people into the United States. Several arrests were made in Sao Paulo and 3 other Brazilian cities. Police also froze 42 bank accounts that they say were used by the group to finance their activities. Mamoun entered Brazil 6 years ago as a refugee. He was united on U.S. charges, and according to Brazilian police, he and his group were smuggling into Brazil and then into the United States people from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and Pakistan. Excuse me. Terry Bean. Terry Bean, he was the co-founder of the Human Rights Campaign and the Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund, and he was also a major contributor to the Obama administration, his re-election campaign. He raised something like over $500,000. He has been indicted for sexually abusing a 15-year-old boy with his boyfriend in a hotel. Court documents say the men arranged a $200,000 payment to the 15-year-old boy to make sex abuse charges against Bean go away. Bean was arrested on a warrant accusing him of 2 counts of third-degree sodomy, both felonies, and a misdemeanor sexual abuse charge on the case that was first filed in 2015. I linked 2 different articles to this down below. Both of them had things that the other didn't. And one of them kind of goes more into how his lawyers insisted that he was being victimized by an extortion ring, which they claim involves several men, quote, known to law enforcement. And then the other one goes more into this elaborate scheme to keep investigators from finding the boy. The boy told the detectives that his lawyer was helping him hide. Quote, she told me not to talk to certain people. She told me to go on the run at some point. So if I did testify, I was told I wasn't supposed to get my money. So that's why I did not testify, and that's why my attorney told me to go on the run. Myers wrote that Myers was the investigator. Myers wrote that the boy's lawyer gave him a burner phone and cash and worked to hide him in a cabin in the mountains outside of Portland. Crazy. This next thing I have, there was the other day, a new Epstein FBI drop. So it's got like 21 parts or something like that. It's on the FBI website. They just dumped a whole bunch more information on Epstein. We are going to get more into Epstein in a minute, but I wanted you guys to have that in case you hadn't seen it. Ohio drug bust nets enough fentanyl to, quote, kill everyone in the state. Investigators seized over 44 pounds of fentanyl in an Ohio drug bust, a quantity large enough to wipe out the state's entire population many times over. The raid unfolded in Dayton last week, and additional to the fentanyl, investigators seized some 1,500 grams of suspected methamphetamine, 500 grams of suspected heroin, 3 firearms, and $30,000. The quantity of fentanyl in this case amounts to chemical warfare and a weapon of mass destruction, said the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost. And we have another drug bust in Kansas. Feds bust Mexican cartel's methamphetamine running cell in Kansas. A year-long investigation by U.S. authorities in Kansas led to the arrest of a methamphetamine distribution cell tied to Mexico's Los Viagros faction of the Familia Michoacana? Canana? The worst, you guys. Michoacana cartel. The cartel is considered to be part of the violent cartel's drug distribution operation, which also has cells in Washington State and Georgia. We're going to have more about the Mexican cartel in just a minute also. But speaking of Kansas, over a dozen arrested in a Kansas sex trafficking sting. Officials say that 16 people were arrested on sex trafficking charges. The sting ran last week in the Broadway corridor. Wichita police have arrested a total of 154 people, 27 women and 127 men, in 18 stings since the Broadway corridor project began in August of 2017. Jeff, thank you so much. China production fentanyl per Epic Times. Yeah. Yeah, they do have a good article on that. Did I link that the last time? I feel like we talked about that either 1 or 2 videos ago. But yeah, China has a massive, they are one of the massive producers of fentanyl. And same with Syria. That's what we went over last time. Syria. And then also we got that massive shipment that was caught that was coming through Mexico from China of enough fentanyl to basically kill every man, woman, and child in the United States. So it's good to see these people going down slowly but surely. I know that some of this stuff might seem like, you know, not super duper headliney news or whatever. I mean, I think it is anyway. But when you look at all of this stuff compiled, I mean, every single week we are talking about another massive drug bust, another massive human trafficking bust, or multiple ones like we have tonight. So I really think it's painting the picture, letting people know, because this is not getting covered as much as it should be, showing people what is actually going on and to give people hope that there are these massive busts happening. And I believe these busts are just leading to bigger and bigger things, hence all of the sealed cases that we have in this country right now. This is funny. Actually, I wanted to go over, there was this whole section I have, I'll just go through this first, but I've got this whole section on, I was coming across all of these articles or just like pieces of news this week that really feel like they're just trying to prep our minds for something to get out ahead of all of these terrible things that they're doing. One of these things, former CIA Director John McLaughlin says, quote, "Thank God for the deep state," in an interview with CBS News. So I linked below a Sarah Carter interview that has the video of him saying that. And isn't that funny that for so long they called us conspiracy theorists for even saying that the deep state existed? Like, you were crazy if you even used the word deep state. Finally, Fox News, not even all of Fox News, like Sean Hannity started using it, and that was like mind-blowing to a lot of us that had been talking about this thing, like, whoa, we're actually seeing this on the TV, even though he was still being called a conspiracy theorist or wacko, or that he was pandering or whatever. But so it goes to show you how important what all of us are doing is, because these tweets and the memes that we're sending around, these videos that we're making, the information that we're sharing with each other is doing something. They know now that they can no longer deny that there's a deep state. So what they're doing is they're trying to get out ahead of it. And for all of those sheep that they can still manipulate, they're trying to paint the deep state as a good thing. It's a good thing that you have that there is a secret group of people that's actually making all of the rules. You want them to be there because, I mean, who knows what we would all do without them? And we couldn't possibly make decisions for ourselves or be trusted to run governments or, you know, decide what to do with our own children and families or society, right? So he even goes on to praise the intelligence community and all of that. So this is just one example of that I found. We're going to get into some more of those in just a minute. These next couple things are just fun. One is a video of this strange cloud that was seen over Trinidad on October 31st. It's this red cloud. I can't explain it. I don't know. People were saying, or I saw comments that it was a cap cloud, and basically that's something that's created by ice crystals in the atmosphere or in the clouds. And I do know a couple things about cap clouds, and I've seen pictures of them, and they tend to be more of a rainbow, which makes sense. The ice crystals fragment the light, and we all know how rainbows work, but this is just red. So you know, a lot of people give like very simple explanations to these, and it might very well be a very simple explanation, but I have to wonder if it really is that simple. Why have I, in my so many years on this planet, never seen a red cloud like that before? I mean, it's surrounded by a bunch of other gray, normal looking clouds, and all of a sudden there's this red cloud. So anyway, I know you guys like that stuff, so I put a link to it below. Something else you guys like, because I know you. This was a cool tweet by an account that it's a parody account of A.G. Barr, so don't get confused. Don't think that this is being posted by William Barr. But it's basically, he tweets, "I'm old enough to remember when Google Earth located the Mars rover in Greenland, and when NASA released a photo of the surface of Mars, it included a rodent that's indigenous to Greenland. It was like some kind of squirrel." And if you look carefully, you can see it's on this picture of Mars. So unfortunately, I can't show you the pictures. That's really annoying. But if you go to that link, it's got all the pictures there. And then it's got a side-by-side shot of what's supposed to be Mars that like obviously has a dark red filter over it with the terrain of Greenland, and it is unmistakable. Not only that it is the same terrain, but I think it's even the same picture taken at the same, like, it's the same exact. So anyway, enjoy, have fun. Pregnant Florida mom uses AR-15 to kill home intruder. So 2 intruders came into her house. They had guns. They pistol whipped her husband, and this is a quote from her. "Them guys came in with 2 normal pistols, and my AR stopped it." Oh no, this is the husband. "My wife evened the playing field and kept them from killing me." It's a good point. She was 8 months pregnant. I remember being 8 months pregnant. I couldn't fend off 2 men with guns. So good for her that she had this. And anytime somebody's like, I mean, what I see with the gun control thing, it's kind of this slow drip. Well, we don't need certain kinds of guns. Okay, well, the point is, I don't know if you guys saw videos. I saw videos recently of the cartels when they had that, when what's-his-face's son went to prison and they had that, all those riots and whatever in Mexico, and they were bombing things and they were driving around the city with these, like, they look like machine guns, and they very might well be. I don't know anything about machine guns. But anyway, they're like, you know, very powerful guns. We know that other people have very powerful guns, and we should be able to protect ourselves from those things. I've seen videos before recently of like 6 or 7 men all trying to break into the same house. You know, they're all there wearing their masks and trying to get into this house, trying to break the lock off. And I just watched videos like that thinking like how helpless I would feel if I wasn't able to protect myself. So, and I don't really care who you are. It really doesn't have all that much to do with me being a woman and having the upper body strength of a kitten. I don't know many men that could fight off an attacker. You know, they have the advantage. They get the jump on you. You're unprepared. Maybe you're sleeping and you wake up. And anyway, I thought this was an important thing to share because it is one of those proofs of what would have happened to this family. This 8-month pregnant woman, her daughter, who the guy grabbed, he pistol whipped her husband and violently grabbed her daughter. You know, what would have happened to them? I don't know. Probably not anything good. Okay, so here's my section on the stuff that I came across that they're trying to normalize. One of these is a tweet I saw of this this video where they're trying to tell you, it says, "We taste so good. Try human blood sausage from Spain." And it's this video of them taking blood out of people's arms and then mixing it in the sausage stuff and then making sausage out of it and people eating it. No, that's a terrible idea. Not only is that a terrible idea, don't let them get you to think that stuff like this is normal. I mean, there is a very good chance that stuff like this is being put out there so that they can be like, oh, you know, slowly get us used to the idea of like, well, I mean, they've already been doing it. They've been doing it with celebrity women that have come out talking about how they get blood transfusions from young people to look more youthful. Insanity. What young people? How young? You know, most of these women aren't very old themselves. Like, it's not like they're 90-year-olds getting a transfusion from a 26-year-old, you know? So I have to wonder how young and where is this blood coming from? Human blood sausage. No, thank you. Then there's another tweet that I have linked below. This girl is pointing out that now on The Sims, you know, the video game Sims, you can now eat your babies. And there are videos of the cannibalism now that is allowed in The Sims, and you can like you can have a baby in The Sims and then like put it on the grill and cook it and eat it. Again, disgusting. I don't really care if, you know, people are like, it's not real, so what does it really matter? How would you feel if it was them performing sex acts on? I mean, it's still not real, right? But we understand when we take it to that extreme what it does to put stuff like that in the human consciousness and make games out of it. Sick. This next thing, what they're trying to normalize or what they're trying to put out there, why men should give their wives a cheat pass this Christmas. Again, just more stuff attacking the family, which is, you know, basically the pillar of society, the most important pillar of society. And another one of those headlines that I look at and I'm just like, oh my God. I think I had a couple more, but I'll get to those. Naval Academy provides room to discuss the Satanic Temple. The U.S. Naval Academy is providing a room on campus for midshipmen interested in the Satanic Temple to discuss the group. They're basically saying, well, you know, there was a request made and we advocate for, you know, the justice for, you know, all religions and yada, yada, yada. It's, you know, that it's like religion equality. Okay, whatever. It just seems weird. And then in this article, it said the Satanic Temple calls itself a non-aesthetic? I'm going to kick myself later because I don't know. Non-theistic. Gosh, come on, Kate. Non-theistic organization that aims to encourage benevolence and empathy among all people. But we also know that there are some very bad, nasty, awful, terrible things that are done in the name of he who shall not be named, and I don't mean John McCain. We have McDonald's CEO pushed out after a relationship with an employee. Again, this is something that this seems pretty mundane. But Q specifically told us not only to track all resignations, firings, etc. of high-level people, but also that pointed out that some people would be getting a public pass, making it appear as though they were leaving for, you know, different reasons. So this might end up being something more later. It also might not be, but we're still going to keep eyes on it. Also, another big step down is the NYPD Commissioner, James O'Neill. NYPD Commissioner James O'Neill will officially resign his position Monday afternoon, so yesterday, ending 3 years as New York's top law enforcement official. The timing of this is weird. I think there was a Trump tweet. I didn't have it in here, but there have been a lot of riots lately, a lot of, or there was a big riot, demonstration, and all of these people were like storming the subway systems without paying. But we've also seen a big rash of just complete and utter disrespect for police officers in several places in New York City. Them getting milk or water thrown on them, boxes placed on top of their vehicles so they can't go anywhere, like piled on top, and just a lot of really gross stuff. So we'll see what happens with those. And this is cute. Hundreds of goats help save the Reagan Presidential Library. So all of the fires happening in California right now. One of them in Simi Valley. This one's called the Easy Fire because it started on Easy Street in Simi Valley. The Ventura County Fire Department actually delivers. Okay, so the fire was moving up the hill towards the Reagan Library, and people were posting about it. I actually saw a bunch of liberals kind of celebrating that, being like, yeah, burn it down or whatever, which is so gross. But it was saved, and so this article that I linked below is basically the fire department actually delivers these goats, hundreds of them, in May to eat all of the brush that's grown up alongside the hill. Couple things that are important, I think, to point out. One of the reasons why California is in so much trouble when it comes to these fires is because the environmentalists do not let them do controlled burnings and cutbacks of vegetation. It's like, you know, oh, you can't cut all of that back. It's not good for the environment. Well, that's what creates all of this dry brush that acts like kindling, that makes houses and structures and all this and other forests go up in flames. It's not just homes and people we're protecting here. It actually is nature. So because you're not allowed to cut back, I believe they may have found a loophole here with dumping these goats off, which is really cute, and allowing them to eat all of the vegetation that grows out of control there. It reminds me of, there was a Japanese university in Malibu, and they had a lot of property that was, you know, very highly sought after property. And my mom was kind of affiliated with them, and the people in the neighborhood started calling them a cult because they were linked to the Buddhist organization, and it really wasn't about that. It really was about, it was a land grab. They were trying to get this property from this Japanese university. And the funny thing about it was, it was the most beautiful property. It was kind of tucked away, and they had like ponds with geese on them. It was just so beautifully maintained and lush and green and gorgeous. And so they were actually taking people around that were on, like basically on the other side, that were trying to say that this Japanese organization needed to, or the university needed to give back some of this land to the state. And they said, okay, well, you know, if you ever want to come and take a tour of the university, we'd be happy to show you around, show you how we operate things, show you what it's like here. And so they were going around. Of course, everything is immaculate. It's beautiful. These people take such good care of the property. And so these people really had no complaints. And so they're going around on this golf cart, and then there's this fence, and they look, and there's just like, all of a sudden they're like, aha, there's all this just junk and debris and just like leftover garbage and trees that had been cut down that nobody took care of. And they were like, see, they're hiding it. This is where they keep all their junk. They're putting it all over there. And the guy that owned the university was like, no, actually that is the state property. They were looking on the other side of the fence. So that is the difference between how the government takes care of property and how a private owner takes care of property. So anyway, glad that these people found this loophole and that they can get these goats in there to take care of things. So the library was saved. This I won't go too much in. Trump admin, excuse me, begins withdrawal from Paris Climate Accord. We've all heard about this. Link below. The Trump administration announced on Monday that it was officially withdrawing from the Paris Climate Accord, with the withdrawal officially set to be completed 1 year from now. President Trump made the decision to withdraw from the Paris Agreement because of the, oh, this is a quote by Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State. President Trump made the decision to withdraw from the Paris Agreement because of the unfair economic burden imposed on American workers, businesses, and taxpayers. The United States has reduced all types of emissions as we grow our economy and ensure our citizens access to affordable energy. So I think this is a good thing. This next thing is not a good thing. It's an article about social services and how they have lost, how can Social Security's services lose 18,000 children. It's an AZ Central article. It says this year an estimated 18,000 American children will disappear, but their families will not be looking for them, basically because they are you know, in the foster care social service system. And one of the things I found really striking in this article, I didn't know this, is that after 6 months with when a child goes missing within the system, after 6 months, the records of their existence may close entirely. So not only do they stop looking for them, they close them off entirely. And according to the FBI, more than half of trafficked children in America were in the care of social services when they disappeared. That's terrible. And that needs to change. And so we need to keep our eyes on these kinds of things. Common Core is making American kids dumber. We knew this. I have linked below just something that I thought was funny, that was something that I came across a couple years ago or a year ago, whatever it is. It's a side-by-side video of somebody taking the same equation where it's being calculated in Common Core and somebody doing it the old-fashioned way. And it literally is, it's the split screen of this woman like talking about it and like showing you how you do Common Core, and then this person's doing the equation, and then the whole rest of the video is them like getting up, taking their dogs outside, making coffee, like starting their day. All the while, this is still going on over there. So for the third time in a row since Common Core was fully phased in nationwide, U.S. students' test scores on the nation's broadest and most respected test have dropped, a reversal of an upward trend between 1990 and 2015. So the class of 2019, which is the first class to have had all 4 years in Common Core, is the worst prepared for college in 15 years, according to a new report. And I believe that test score was the ACT that they were talking about. So I don't know what really to do about this. And I've talked to a lot of other parents about this and what they think about it. Nobody likes it. Everybody knows that it's bad news, but everybody's kind of either, you know, everybody just kind of believes that somebody, if it's that bad, somebody will do something about it. Or if every kid is doing it, I mean, what am I going to do? And, you know, at least all the kids will be in the same boat. I mean, they are just no, that's so bad. It's so not what our education system should be doing. And you don't even really have a choice anymore. They're all doing it now. I mean, unless you do private school or homeschooling or, you know, one of these charter schools or whatever. So anyway, keep that in mind, and keep an eye on this Common Core stuff. Okay, so last couple things before we get into the two big ones. This actually was something I was seeing a bunch of tweets about it. I kept collecting them and was kind of trying to read through them as I was trying to prepare today, but I didn't really have enough time. So I linked a bunch of the tweets that I was looking at and put them in this. Then as like right before I went live tonight, a friend of mine sent me another article. So basically it's about these women and children, these Mormon families that are living in Mexico that were just slaughtered by the Mexican cartel. And they were shot, and some of them burned alive. And they were these families, and I kind of went through it quickly, but it sounded to me these are American citizens, but they live in Mexico, I believe, to get around the law of polygamy. Don't quote me on that. But disgusting. And I had put all of that in here, and then as I was ready to go live, a friend sent me a link to what I have below. I believe it's a New York Post article linking these women to the NXIVM cult, which was crazy. And I wasn't able to get through all of that article either. So I only touched upon it. So I'm gonna have to read through that. We'll talk about that next time, but I wanted to put that in there for you guys so that you could look at it. But I believe the connection was that these families, or this group of people, of Mormons that were living in Mexico, were where NXIVM was getting some of their nannies from. And remember, NXIVM, this NXIVM cult that was keeping sex slaves and branding women, runs the Rainbow, what is it called, Cultural Center for Children or whatever. It's like a daycare for children that I believe is still operational in some places. It was like a multinational daycare thing that was supposed to teach your children how to speak other languages and things. So yeah, so I'll get more into that, but I put those links down below. Then I also put another link for this girl, Sarah Afsharian. She's an Iranian street dancer, and she is in jail for the rest of her life. Her crime was uploading her dance performance on Instagram. So they have public executions in Iran, but you can't dance. So I'm definitely going to look more into that. I think we are all of the belief that, you know, different strokes for different folks, and cultures have different ideas of what's right and wrong. But when it comes to things that are absolutely crimes against humanity, that take away people's inalienable rights as human beings, then those things we need to take a look at. We need to keep our eyes on those things, and we need to advocate for those people. And so I don't have much information on this. I had seen something about it prior, but it reminded me again today to look into that. So I put a link just to a tweet there just to remind you guys too, if there's anybody that wants to look into that. Then I also put a link to a thread I came across that was really good, that about a connection between DDT and polio. So I'm not going to say too much about that because, well, you know, but that's a really good thread. And then there's a short, that's a 17-minute video at the end of that thread. So I suggest you look at that. So let's get into the Project Veritas stuff. Yesterday, I believe, James O'Keefe was tweeting that they had an expose coming out with the hashtag Epstein cover-up. So, and they were like, it's gonna drop at 7 in the morning. So we were all very excited, and I know a few people also had this happen to them. I thought that it would be, you know, like an insider in the jail that was gonna come forward and be like, oh yeah, you know, he didn't kill himself, and this is what happened, and this is why the videos go down. It wasn't that. It was a ABC news anchor. Her name's Amy Robach. she is a Good Morning America co-host and breaking news anchor at ABC. Anyway, they have her on hot mic, so that means that, you know, she's sitting there, she's mic'd up, but they're not, you know, taping for the show. And she's sitting there talking to, I believe, the producer about Epstein, and they're talking about how they had this story 3 years ago, and she even specifically says, you know, they had interviewed, they got Virginia Roberts out of, that was she's like kind of the most high profile victim that's come forward against Epstein. She had been in hiding for 12 years, and they brought her out and convinced her to do this interview with them. She was telling them everything. She was giving them photographs. She was linking Bill Clinton to it, and all of this stuff. And they had this explosive interview, and Amy is sitting there talking about it and talking about how they never ran it and how frustrated she was watching all of this news come out because she had it 3 years ago, and they should have broke the story. They should have been able to get this out. She talks about how they were being, how did she put it? They were being threatened or something like that by the royal family, because it also implicated Prince Andrew. They were getting, you know, basically they were getting told that they better not run it by some very high-level people, some very powerful people. Alan Dershowitz's attorney, I believe, who was also one of Epstein's attorneys in some trial. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, you know, I didn't know if that was it. When I saw Project Veritas tweet that this morning, I was like, is this it? Is this what they were talking about? And then they released a second part, and I was like, oh, okay. Then she starts talking more about how, you know, she knows he was murdered. She knew the second that they were reporting that he had died, that he had been murdered. And she links, like, a couple things. On one hand, I was watching it like, oh, man, we already know all this stuff. I mean, yeah, it's good hearing it from another source. It's good hearing it from a source in the mainstream media. But I do think it is explosive to the people that aren't talking about this stuff on a regular basis, that do watch the mainstream media. Maybe people out there that watch ABC and trust this anchor are going to see this and be like, you know, it's going to change something for them. And, you know, she came out and had of course, had a rebuttal, or, you know, she had her statement, her official statement that she made afterward, and it was exactly what you would expect. It was very much like lawyers wrote it, and, you know, oh, well, you know, I was caught in a private moment, and we couldn't run it because it wasn't, we couldn't verify it enough. Please tell me that you don't buy that. When you look at ABC News and all of the stuff that they've put out over the last couple years, and I mean, they were the ones that put out the video that was supposed to be bombings in Syria. Do you remember this? A couple weeks ago, and it was literally from a gun show in Kentucky. You know, they ran with the Kavanaugh thing. They ran with the boys from the Catholic school that you know what I'm talking about, Nick Sandman, is that what his name is, with the guy banging a drum in his face. They ran with that. They ran with the Jussie Smollett story. You know, they ran with the you know, the Russian hoax, all of these things, and they're gonna say, well, we didn't put that out because it couldn't be verified. Think about how much information they were sitting on. The way that this woman talks about it, it makes it sound like they did have a lot. She talks about how many men, how many high-profile men went to that island, went to that apartment, and how they were using this for blackmail, and how they knew even 3 years ago that Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most prolific pedophiles in the country, yet they did nothing. They did nothing with that information. And it reminds me of the BBC cover-up for Jimmy Savile, where they did their own internal investigation on him, the BBC did, and they had even stuff that the police didn't have. and they did nothing with it. And how many victims happened. In the case of Jimmy Savile, that they did their investigation, I think like, I don't even know, like 50 years ago. And in the meantime, he had hundreds of victims. I don't know what Jeffrey Epstein has done in this last 3 years, or what he did before he died in the last 3 years before he was incarcerated, but it's important to remember that he was walking around as a free man for most of those 3 years, that these people had this information. They knew it, and they did nothing with it. Also interesting to point out, I think, is that even when it came out about Jeffrey Epstein, they still didn't release their interview. At that point, it's like, okay, now we've got, now he's arrested for those things that we did this, that we had this interview about, that this girl was telling us about. Now he's in jail for it. Why wasn't the interview released then? I mean, it's crazy, but it's a good look into how things get squashed if the higher-ups don't want them to come out. Reading some of the comments. Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, thank you, Rob. Yes, very messed up. All right, last thing here. Q is back, baby. So a couple cool things. So we were all waiting for 8kun to go up. It goes up. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I didn't know if Q would ever come back. I certainly didn't think that Q would come back the day that 8kun went live, because we knew there were going to be all kinds of bugs with it and everything. Everybody and their mother was jumping on the site, even people that had never been to 8chan before, because everybody wants to see now. It's a good indication of how many people are out there looking at this stuff now. And, you know, crashing the site, and which is another thing, another important thing. I think I've mentioned this on the site before, on my channel before, I mean, but I'm not sure, so I just want to say it again. If you are one of those people that goes to 8kun and can figure it out and goes to the sites, please don't post a link to it anywhere. Let people find it on their own. And if you're one of those people that has never been to either 8chan or 8kun, but you're interested in seeing the Q drops, qmap.pub, which is the first link that I have down below, is awesome. They put them up super quickly. Between that and Twitter, there isn't really much of a reason to go to 8chan if you've never been there before, or I mean 8kun, if you've never been to 8chan before and you don't do that. All the stuff gets disseminated onto Twitter, and all the conversations happen there anyway. So I know there are some people that don't want to be on Twitter and, you know, don't whatever. At this point, I kind of think, well, there are two reasons. Well, there are a lot of reasons, actually, that I think it's important for us, actually, to be on Twitter. One is that at this point, it doesn't matter anyway. You think that it's going to keep you safe from, like, them knowing where, if you own a smartphone or anything, they know everything about you anyway. So that's one. Two is that is where most of the conversation in this world is happening right now, whether we like it or not. And it's important that we don't isolate ourselves. We don't, you know, basically by catering to or playing a part in segregation, we are just as guilty of it. Even if we don't believe in it, we should not participate in segregating ourselves. It's important for us to have our voices on there. It's important, you know, if you are watching what is happening and you see what Trump is actually doing and you see him getting this hate, like his tweets, retweet him, take polls. It's fun. I like watching the polls flip. It really makes me hopeful watching people start to engage. They're starting to come out from the crevices where they were hiding, myself included, and start to engage and be a little bit bolder with their, maybe not even necessarily support of anything, but just like, hey, I've got a difference of opinion here and I'm gonna give it. And I might not be all for this or all for that or all against this, but I'm gonna talk about it. The other reason why I think it's important to be on Twitter, if you are a Q follower, Q has specifically said, I can't remember, maybe somebody can help me out here. There was a Q drop that said, basically look for exactly this on Twitter, and that was the quote, my fellow Americans, the storm is upon us, or the storm is here, or something like that. I think that we're all kind of speculating that that will be Trump that will tweet that. But if that's going to be something that Trump tweet, I don't want to miss that. I want to be there for that. I don't want to miss anything, actually, that Trump is tweeting or that is going on right now on Twitter. I know what they're doing. I know that it's not something that we want to, you know, support necessarily. I know that we talk a lot about supporting with our actions, and we, you know, I'm all for go on Twitter, unfollow every celebrity that you followed. That's something that I'm in favor of. Like, go on there and be like, oh, I was following these musicians because I liked it. Who cares anymore? They're unimportant. Celebrities are unimportant, but these are important conversations that are happening there. And, you know, even if you don't engage with anything, just to have a Twitter account so that you can see what's going on, because it actually is a really great place to get information these days because you're getting it instantly. Gone are the days that you have to wait for, you know, the nightly news or your designated news outlet to give you this information. It is happening in real time all day long, every day. So, what was I talking about? So anyway, yeah, there are a bunch of really great, accounts on there that honestly keep me sane. There are a few people on there. Big Hair Tsunami, thank you so much. Yeah, I have been sick. I don't know why it's not popping up. Okay, appreciate all your hard work during the previous week to get here tonight. Thank you so much for all the information. Thank you so much. It's been a crazy week. Anyway, there are a few accounts that I follow that just give me like peace of mind. That I think we'll go into a couple of those in just a minute. But so the Q drops. Q came back very shortly after 8kun went up. Keep up the great thing. Joshua, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you very much. That's incredible. Thank you so much. I was just talking to somebody about, somebody in one of my comments on one of my videos accused me of doing this for money the other day. And I was actually kind of laughing to myself because, especially with being throttled and them not allowing me to make any money really, I like try to monetize my videos, but they like take it down, but whatever. Other than these super generous donations that, Ed, thank you so much. Thank you, Ed. I was doing the math. I appreciate you too, friend. I was doing the math on what I've made so far from my YouTube account, other than the very generous donations that I've gotten from people. And it was literally less than I spent on books last year doing research. So if you're thinking about getting into this line of work for to make money, you might want to reconsider. But anyway, that's not why I'm doing this. I don't really even care that I don't even care that people are accusing me of making money, because I think it's pretty clear that, or like trying to be famous, that's a good one too. This is what I'm going to do to make myself famous, guys, because this is not goofy at all. Anyway, so Q comes back a couple hours after 8kun goes up, and basically the first drops appear like they were like a series of board tests and then a security stringer. So those aren't really for us. It's just like a bunch of different weird letters and numbers, whatever. And the first one I believe was under a different trip code. Oh, something else that I put in the links below, which is really good, is a lot of people who don't understand or don't really get 8chan, or maybe even you do get 8chan, this is something that's kind of confusing. How do they verify it's Q every time? How do they know that somebody doesn't just jump in, claim to be Q, and you know, start posting as Q? So I put a link to a Twitter thread down below that explains it really well, how they verify Q's trip code and how they know that it's them. Anyway, so after the board tests and the security stringer, Q posted drop 3573, and it was a link to a YouTube video of just an American flag waving in the breeze. It actually reminded me of that Shia LaBeouf video, remember, with the Anons, and he put up the flag somewhere that it was like the basically very elaborate capture the flag game, where he put up a flag in an undisclosed location that said, "He will not divide us." and it had literally nothing behind it but sky. And even with nothing there, to like no landmarks, anything like that, the Anons were able to find the location of the flagpole that was like in the middle of some field somewhere in like the middle of America, and take it down and replace it with a MAGA hat. I love that. So I don't know if Q has even seen that or heard of that. I'm assuming they have, because they see all and know all. And I don't know if this was like a hat tip to that, because that was at least my first thought. But it was also just like a very patriotic, you know, thing. So a good first post to come back. Interesting thing here is that 5 days before the last Q drop, before Q went dark, Q posted this post. It was James Comey, a tweet that James Comey had made in 2017 of him standing in the middle, or it was November 2017. Or maybe it was October. Anyway, he's standing in the middle of a cornfield. Q posts that, and the what they say under it is, "Was the corn ripe for harvesting? It is now." Then it says bracket. Then there are 5. Thank you, Mary Jane. Thank you so much. 5 spaces, 93, then I think 11 spaces, DK, end of brackets, Q. So what does that mean? I have no idea. But some genius people figured out that from the last day of Q posting to the new post, the days of darkness were literally 93 days. 93 days dark. So did that bracket 93 DK bracket mean 93 days of darkness? They had been preparing us for, you know, to go dark at some point. So that was very interesting. The other interesting thing is that there were also exactly 93 weeks between the Comey tweet that they put in there and Q going dark. So I don't know how they do that stuff. I don't know if it's planned all along. This is why people joke that Q is a time traveler, because stuff like this is just, those of us that were watching everything unfold with 8chan and watching the guys that run it try to get 8kun back up and all of the obstacles that started coming their way, and you know, they were not expecting to have 8chan down for that long. They obviously were trying to get it up as soon as possible. So they didn't know that it was going to be down for this long. It's just, that's very interesting to me. How does that happen? With no outside comms, which is what Q tells us, they're not going to communicate with anybody one-on-one. They're not going to Code Monkey and to, you know, Jim Watkins and saying, listen, you got to keep the site down until this day or whatever. So I don't know. That's some of the fun stuff that comes with Q. So then the second real Q drop after they came back after the darkness, Q linked to 2 tweets. Both people I follow, one by @3days3nights, and basically he was pointing out 8kun.net live today. Quote, 93 days dark since Q3570. Last time Q posted August 1st at 7:45 p.m. through November 1st at 7:54 p.m. through November 1st at 7:53 p.m. Stop. So exactly 93 darks, almost 3 days dark, almost to the minute, is what he was pointing out, QAnon. So Q had posted that kind of obviously as a hat tip. The second tweet that they posted was one by Wyatt. He's at SayWhenLA. That says, veteran mob prosecutor John Durham was not appointed by AG Barr. Durham served as interim U.S. attorney since October 28th, 2017, after Sessions appointed him. Coincidentally, the same day that Q began posting, President Trump nominated Durham as U.S. attorney on November 1st, 2017. He says, F me, it's happening. So Q points to this. That's also very interesting. It's good to know, good to keep that in mind, that John Durham, when we look at his investigation and what he's doing now, possibly has been doing this and looking into these things for a lot longer than at least the public believes. Possibly, now more than 2 years. So after Q links to those 2 tweets, they say rig for red, Q. So rig for red, I have another link posted below that says rig for red is a command used in the control room on a submarine, I believe. It's used when the boat or boat is going to be surfacing or coming to periscope depth. Oh no, that would have to be a submarine. Coming to periscope depth at night. The purpose is to give the lookouts heads up for their eyes to adjust to darkness. So if I'm understanding this correctly, to rig for red, well, to rig for is to prepare for something. Red would be the night vision or whatever that the light is, so that they're not going from a super bright environment to trying to look at something that's in the depths of the dark ocean. So they're allowing their eyes to adjust. Thank you, Mythical. So that's interesting, and I'm really excited to see Q back. Yeah, I wasn't really sure if they ever would come back. I do think that it's possible we have enough with just what we have, but it is way more fun with them being back and getting, I mean, look, we would have missed out on this 93 Days of Darkness thing, and a couple of really great tweeters getting tweeted. A couple other things about Twitter and the people that I follow, just because I know a lot of you people follow him also. Joe M left Twitter. So, and his wife, Joe M and his wife left Twitter. They both put out tweets saying that they were going to be leaving. They, Joe said basically, you know, like you said, we have all we need now. And, you know, basically was making it clear he was leaving of his own volition. It was nothing bad. He wasn't in trouble. He wasn't in danger. He just, you know, he thought this was the time for him to bow out. I will admit, for some reason, he did this at like midnight my time. For some reason, I woke up right when that happened. I never wake up in the middle of the night. I wake up sometimes at like 3 or 4 in the morning, but I never wake up at midnight. So it was really weird that I woke up at that time, and I went on my phone and I saw it actually right after it happened, after he tweeted that. And I was like still trying to wake up and trying to make sense of it. And it finally hit me. And I will admit, I cried. Not to make myself sound like a, Corinne, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Is it Corinne or Corinne? Corinne? I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you so much. You know, it wasn't necessarily, I'll explain to you why I cried. It felt like a loss of a friend, and it felt like a loss of a mentor for sure. He's one of those people, he's one of those accounts that I look to keep me sane and to make sense of things when I'm confused or when when the world seems like it's crazy. So I was very sad to see him go. I also understood it. I mean, we all deserve to take breaks or even leave completely when, you know, you are under attack constantly because you are putting yourself out there talking about this stuff. But part of me was also just kind of crying. It wasn't so much about Joe, although I love him and I miss him. It was kind of like this very heavy feeling of, I won't say a heavy feeling. It was just this feeling of how much all of us have been through together and how it has bonded all of us, and just really allowing myself to feel how amazing that is. And we have made connections to each other, and it's not just about friendships or who you interact with. Whether we have interacted with each other or not, we are collectively all working together and for something that's really important, and it has bonded us, and it is an incredible testament to humanity. And so all of that stuff was kind of hitting me at midnight or 1 in the morning or whatever it was. So I had a hard time with Joe leaving. But he did come back, not really. Basically, a lot of people didn't want him to delete, because basically he disabled his account, which means all of his past tweets went away. And he had some gems on there, and he had some great research, he had some great threads, he had some great knowledge. And so people were saying, were wanting him to come back for that reason. And so he did come back and reactivate his Twitter, and but he's not going to be engaging, at least not now. You know, he could eventually come back. But as for now, Joe M's account is up, but it's just there, so at like basically kind of as an archive. I've seen a couple fake Joe M accounts pop up, and so be really careful. I don't know what these twerps do or why they do it or what motivates them or what is lacking in their lives that they need to do this, but yeah, they just jump on Joe being gone and they make these fake accounts to pretend to be Joe suddenly and like try to get all of his followers. And I was watching a lot of people fall for it. At one time, I think I saw like over 700 or 800 followers on this fake shill Joe account that, you know, Joe's account, his handle is "Storm is upon us." And so they took the I and is and made it lowercase l. So it looked exactly like it was Joe's thing. They were like, oh, sorry guys, I'm back up now or whatever. And people were falling for it left and right. That bugs me. I never tell anybody who to follow or who not to. Well, I'll recommend people to follow, but I never tell people who not to follow. But if it's somebody faking somebody else's profile, I will definitely give you guys the heads up of who not to follow. Even though I see a couple really questionable accounts, I'm going to let you guys figure that out on your own because I know that you're not dumb. Although they do have people following them, I don't understand it. But I'm not worried about it. I think everybody gets to the truth eventually. And then also Julian's Rum was another account. So Sneaky Rod and Julian's Rum, all of a sudden I had kind of been off of Twitter for a while, and I looked, I went back on it and I was like, oh, I haven't seen these two accounts that I would go to all the time because they posted really great stuff. Again, two of these very level-headed people that I liked what they posted. I realized they hadn't posted in a while. And the one, Sneaky Rod, was just gone, which wasn't too weird because he had been deleted a bunch. And then Julian's Rum had not tweeted for like a month or like a few weeks, and so I got kind of worried. But he is back anyway. He's back last night. He said that he needed to just take a break, take a mental health break, and I get it. And somebody actually wrote to me the other day and asked me how I keep my vibration high when I'm looking at all this low vibrational stuff. And one of the things that I said to them is take breaks when you need to. So it's really important for us to be going out into the world and interacting with all of these people who are vibrating at lower frequencies, let's say, or just like not getting it, or they're full of anger, they're full of hatred, they're full of confusion, all of this chaotic stuff. When you come in contact with people like that, it tends to leave some residue on you. And so, but it's important that we keep doing it. It's also important that you take care of yourself first and foremost, because if you are not strong, you can't take care of others. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So I will do that from time to time. I'll take shorter breaks from Twitter or whatever. I don't have that many followers on Twitter, so I don't really have to take big breaks from Twitter. And all of you people are lovely, so I haven't had to take a break from my YouTube yet. So, you know, that is one of those important things to remember, is to maintain your own sanity when going up against people. You know, a lot of this, it is war. Let's face it, we're at war. It is a culture war, call it what you want. But there is a lot of ugly stuff going on, and a lot of arguing, and a lot of unbelievable things that we're seeing happening in this world, and it takes its toll. So I know when I see Preach Kate, I should shut up. But anyway, you guys got what I'm saying. Did I miss anything in the chat that you guys want me to go over? Sorry, I haven't been looking much at the chat. I've been kind of in a, you know, going on one of my tirades. Recommended following: Robin Ben, Edge of Wonder, yep, Jordan Sather, Lisa Mae Crowley, just a few. Yep, those are all great accounts. I had a Twitter list of the people that I recommended, but I had to take it down because it came to my attention that people were actually using those lists to do not good things. So I had to take that list down, unfortunately. Honestly, like, I spend a lot of time on Twitter because it, like I said, it's one of the best places to get the news as it's happening. The second an article gets posted or something goes on, you know, TV, or there's a video out or whatever, it always ends up on Twitter. So I do spend a lot of time on there, unfortunately, but I also spend a lot of time retweeting stuff. I actually, most of my account is retweeting things from other people. I don't tend to, you know, take things that I see and then like have to put it in my own words and then make my own tweet. I really just retweet a lot of people. So it's a good place to find some of these accounts, find some of this information. And my Twitter is @Kate_awakening, I think. Oh, the other thing that somebody had recommended to me that I've been trying, and it actually seemed to do something for me, as far as taking on other people's kind of murky energy, somebody recommended to me to do a salt foot bath, which I have done. You could do it with Epsom salt, you could do it with rock salt, and you just like kind of put your feet in there. You can meditate if you want, or just relax. And you know, there's something about salt water that is just very cleansing. And I don't know, I felt better after I did it. Trump keeps mentioning teasing about more presidential terms. Has anyone noticed? I think there's something more behind it. I don't know. I'm with you, Jane. I know he's trolling and I know he's being funny, but there always seems to be a deeper meaning to the things that Trump says and does. And so possibly there is something more to that. I'm very interested to find that out. But the other day at the rally, he's like, you know, 5 more years, 9 more years, 10 more years, you know, or 17 more years. That was fun. It seemed like a kind of a hat tip. Jimmy, thank you. Stay up, stay positive. Always. Thank you, Jimmy. Oh, sorry, Nemo. Yeah, they don't do the notifications. Is good ET? I don't know who that is, Joe. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I don't know who that one is. Yes, I have a raspy voice because I've been sick for a week. Yeah, 5, 9, 13, 17, 21. And I believe that was like A, B, C, D. I'm really pathetic. It was like, yeah, okay, thank you. EIMQU. Thank you. That's funny, right? The dates, he said 5, 9, 17, 13, or 5, 9, 13, 17, 21. So those letters correspond with EIMQU. You say that out loud. What does that sound like? That's very funny. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but so much fun. Hot tea and honey. I shall do that. I think that's all I have for you guys. Unless you guys have anything major you want me to talk about or think that I forgot. Kate, did my email ever get through to you? You the best. Thank you so much. I will admit I have not checked my email in a week. So I don't know. I will look at it. I'll let you know. But probably. I'll check my spam just in case. Oh, happy birthday, Nemo. Of course. That's oh, Bill. Happy birthday, Bill. I won't sing to you. That's your present. Your present is that I won't sing. That's awesome. I feel like people should dig into Trump's quote, perfect. That's a Frosty. Thank you. That's a good point too. Every time he talks about that phone call, he uses the word perfect. I think that's interesting too, and I wonder if there's something to that. So far, I haven't been able to figure anything out about that, and I also haven't seen any real theories so far on what that could mean. But again, there's always something. There's always some meaning. Oh, there was the really cool. Tweet the other day. Some horse that won some horse race was named Kofifi, the Covfefe. By the way, I saw somebody in my city the other day with that as their license plate, and I took a picture, and I was like, yes, we should be friends. Is that you? Anyway, so some horse won with that, and so these articles were going around. You know, this horse that got named because of Trump's mistweet. So Trump puts out this tweet that's like, how do you know this was a mistweet? It could have some deeper meaning. So that was really cool because we all know that it did. It did have meaning. And that's going to make some heads explode. And that's why we need him to have his Twitter. Yes, both leaders had a script and followed it perfectly. Oh, yeah, maybe. Awesome, awesome. Yes, I saw that horse plus another horse named after Obama was euthanized. Really? Is that real? I didn't see that. Anywho, all right, guys, I think that's it for this one. I think I've been talking for a long time, but thanks, and I love you guys, and thank you guys for being here, and I'll be back again. I'm gonna make this my new thing. Well, I mean, it's been my new thing for a couple weeks now, but Tuesday nights, 5 o'clock Pacific. I think I like this, and it seems to work for you guys. So even if you don't get the notification, you can, if you follow me on Twitter, I tend to announce it before I go live on there. Otherwise, just check back. I'll start getting better about putting up one of those things that like does the countdown and then at least has my dumb picture that you could stare at my dumb face with my dumb thumbnail while you wait for the live to start. But yeah, Tuesday nights at 5 o'clock Pacific is when I think we're gonna try to continue to do this. All right, love you guys.